Hello everyone, welcome to Cybrosys Technologies. In today's video, we'll be discussing about how to perform internal inventory transfer in Odoo19. So let's dive into the inventory module to manage with the warehouses. You can move on to the configuration and choose warehouses under the warehouse management, where you can find the warehouse name, the short name that's given. And as we are just performing the internal inventory transfer, we need to create one more warehouse over here. So let's duplicate it, and afterwards you can set the warehouse name, and let me set it as wh2. So let me save it. So currently you can see that we have two warehouses, so warehouse 1 and warehouse 2. Okay, so here let's set it as a capital warehouse like wh2, and you can also set this one as warehouse 1. Okay. Once everything is done, the next step is that we just need to manage the storage location. To manage with the storage location, here we have a section called warehouses where you can enable the storage location. So here you can see that the storage location would allow us to track the product locations in your warehouse. And upon moving on to the locations, here you would be able to see the locations that has been created. So you can see that we have the internal locations, and if we have the product in one location and if we want to move the product to the other location, it will be possible. Now to manage with the product, we can just move on to the products over here, and let me create two product, which is product 1 and product 2, and I won't be setting the inventory over here, which means the quantity over here. Okay, so let's set it as product 1 and let's save it. And you can also just duplicate the product to create the other one. So upon moving on to the forecast report, here you can see that we'll not be having any quantity in the warehouse, and you can just update the quantity directly from here, or you can also just manage with the inventory adjustments. So if you want to manage with the inventory adjustment, what you have to do is you can move on to the operations where you can find the physical inventory. So there you can just manage with the inventory adjustments. So let's choose it and choose new. So here you'll be getting the option to add the item. So currently you can find WH1 stock where you can add the product. So the product is product 1. So let me set it as product 1, and you can also set the counted quantity. Let's say I just want to set 50 quantity, and let me click on apply. So once the quantity has been updated, and as you just move on to the product over here, you would be able to see that the product quantity will be updated. Okay, so here you can see that currently we have updated the quantity, and upon moving to the forecast report, here you can see that under the warehouse we have the product 1 with 50 quantity. But when you move on to the warehouse 2, here you can see that we don't have any quantity under the warehouse. Okay, now let me move on to the product, which is product 2, and you can search for the product 2, and if you want to make it as favorite, you can just do that. Okay, so here let me search for product 2, and if you want to update the quantity, here we have the option to update the quantity. Upon clicking on new, here you can see that we can just choose the location. So here we have the option to choose the location. I just want to set the product under warehouse 2, and let's set the quantity. So let me set the quantity as 100, and let's click on replenish. So once it's done, when you move on to the product, here you can see that currently we have the quantity as 100, and you would be able to see currently in the warehouse 1 we don't have the product 2, but when you move on to the warehouse 2, you can see that we have 100 quantity over here. Now let's move on to the core part of the topic, which is the internal inventory transfer. So you can manage the internal transfer from the operations and choose internal transfers and just manage what's from here. Or when you move on to the overview, here you can see that we have the internal transfer. So the internal transfer for warehouse 1, as well as you can also find the internal transfer for warehouse 2. So upon opening the internal transfer, here you can see that we'll be moving on to the inventory overview of the internal transfer. Let me click on new, and here you can choose the person who is Abigail Peterson, and we can just perform the warehouse internal transfer, and you can also find the source location. So from here, I just want to move the item to warehouse 2. So I'll be choosing the other warehouse, which is H2 stock, and you can add the item. So here you can see that in the warehouse 1, we have the product 1 with 50 quantity, right? So I'm going to demand a 25 quantity to move, and upon saving on this, we can just click on validate. So here you can see that currently we have transferred the quantity from warehouse 1 to warehouse 2. If you want to see the moves here, you would be able to see that the item has been picked from the warehouse 1 and moved to a warehouse 2. Now, upon moving on to the reports, here you can see that we have the stock. So here you would be able to see that under the warehouse 1, the items. So you can see currently we have 25 quantity only in warehouse 1 because we have just done with an internal transfer. Now, upon moving on to the warehouse 2, here you will be able to see that we will be having 1, 2, 5 as the quantity. So here you can see currently we have 100 quantity that's been updated as the on hand, and we also have received the quantity. Okay, so this is the on hand quantity. Now let me move on to the product. So in the product, you can just find the product 2, right? So when you move on to the reporting again, under the locations also, you would be able to see the product. So under the internal transfer, or you can just group product by locations or anything. So let's take it based on location. So as you just consider the product based on location, here you can see that we have product 2 with 100 quantity and product 1 with 25 quantity, and all together under the location WH2 we have 125 quantity. Now here in this case, in the stock also, when you move on to the product warehouse 2, here you can see that we have 25 quantity as on hand, and with product 2 as 100 quantity. All together in this location we have 125 quantity. Okay, so that's all about the internal transfer in Odoo 19. So that's all for today. If you find this video informative, please do like, share and subscribe our channel. If you want Odoo customization, Odoo implementation and Odoo tutorial videos, feel free to contact Cybrosys, and thank you for watching the video.